Welcome to the Rise Up Show. This is episode 167, and today I'm excited to host Carlos. He is a digital marketer, proud founder of and CEO of the Blackbird Company, a social media marketing agency that in first 5 months in business generated over 5,000 leads and 8.6 million revenue for its clients. Now let me introduce him. Carlos Arthur, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Very glad
My,
to host you here.
my pleasure.
So, Carlos, tell us the short version on who you are.
So basically, I'm a 23-year-old entrepreneur from a really small city like in Africa. Not city, country, actually country and city like in Africa called Angola. And I'm from a city called Benguela, right? And growing up, like I always liked to travel and so on. So I had that privilege of actually being able to travel a lot. From the past like 3 years, Angola went to a really bad situation economically, and I literally like decided to move to another country, and that's why I basically migrated to Portugal. And arriving in Portugal, like I was looking into what I will do, and I decided to create my social media marketing agency, that is the Blackbird. So it's been now it's been like 1 year and a few months of the company, and yeah, that's basically the short version of the story.
Damn, that's amazing achievement when you're
Thank you,
only 23 years old.
thank you very much.
How,
I've actually been be like hustling and doing work like since I was like 17. I was actually like be like a concept artist and doing like art for games. That's why the niche for my company it's related to concept art, right? And yeah, that's just like the hustle.
how did you start your business?
So funny enough, one of the companies that I took classes on. So I took a course online for a company called CGMA, right? And after I took classes with them, I actually became friends with one of the mods on the company. And right before I moved to Portugal, he asked me if I wanted to stay in his position because he was leaving the company. And on that, like they started giving me more, like in the beginning it was just to help them select the students gallery for the website, but then it transitioning to them like asking me to actually do social media posts and so on. And on that point, like I basically fell in love with social media marketing because I was like, look, I can make money like with doing this for companies. And it's funny because at the time I was just thinking about Facebook managing. And then when I started learning more about like advertising and how to do Facebook ads, then is when everything started to kick in, and then the Blackbird started from there.
Nice. Why did you start with your business? Why did you decide to go there and with your niche?
So it was like a basically a niche that I knew that no one could beat me, especially because it's like a really like it's a really close niche, right? For example, if you and listening from the experience of it's funny because now the owner of CG Master Academy is one of my mentors. Listening from what he was saying, basically like when he was trying to hire a social media marketing agency, they will often target like graphic design and target like motion graphics and so on, especially because like the niche that they are in is really, really close. And my expertise on the area actually allowed me to create the company and focus on that niche. So knowing really like what the industry look like, how the industry works, and more than that, knowing like what is the pain that the actual artists go through to actually get a job, right, allows me to craft the message for those companies in a way that can actually make a difference for students as well.
Wow. What was the challenges along the way?
Definitely, like I believe that this is the biggest challenge for any agency is actually to get clients. Like we are fortunate enough like to have like an amazing recommendation letter that we could send to clients, But even in the beginning, like we are doing 15 days like free trial, which I don't recommend doing because it's a lot of work up front, and in a few cases, like people just take advantage of that, right? But yeah, like getting clients in the beginning was the hardest part, and looking back now, it's like when you know how to structure things correctly, it gets much easier, that part.
How did you overcome this challenge?
So we built like a proof of concept, right? And especially because like we literally work with the biggest companies in that niche. Whenever we email someone, like it's often like we hear like the same reply on emails that is, I actually wanted to get in touch with you. Like, okay, so let's talk. And it's really funny because like when people start seeing the results that your company actually gives to other companies, um, they tend to actually reach out to you. And yeah, like, and it's funny because, for example, a lot of companies, for example, use ClickFunnels, right? And often you
Yeah.
have, like, if you don't have a domain, you often have like a your name.clickfunnel.com, right? And it's often because a few campaigns that we created for some of our clients, it will actually have like the client name .theblackbird.eu. And then people started like researching like who was Blackbird, and then we actually got clients from there as well.
Nice. Wow, very sophisticated way to get to more clients. Like it's
Yeah.
hidden, but it's there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really like triggering curiosity without even people realizing it triggers curiosity.
Yeah.
Damn, love that. That's what it's called, guerrilla marketing, actually.
Exactly. So like the funny part is that we, at the same time, we were leveraging like our client's budget for the campaign and actually
Yeah.
bringing at the same time awareness for our company. And yeah.
Wow, that's so cool and amazing, man. So,
Thank you.
how did you keep momentum with all those challenges and still be the best version of yourself?
So like for me, definitely like building a team, right? Building a team for me was like a big thing, especially like building an in-house team. Right now, actually, Kevin, it's there. He's my business partner now, and like a lot of people, when creating a business, they always think about the part of I'm going to outsource it, right? Or I'm going to hire like, and nothing against that. I'm going to hire like someone across the world to do the work, right? For me, it was always on like how fast can I deliver the work and how like the quality of the work as well. So even though I was just going to spend money up front, getting the space that we were being in and hiring a team, it allowed me to actually train every single person in-house and then allow everything to basically work smoothly. So building a
Wow,
team is one of the things that actually made that happen.
nice. And what kept you driven all that time?
Uh, like there is a saying that a friend of mine always says that is like when going back is not an option, then success is inevitable, right? And for
Yeah.
me, like there was no going back. Like I'm an immigrant in a foreign country. I had to pay the bills. Like I have a
That's
wife,
hard.
so I needed to make money.
That's harsh place to be. Like, so just the money kept you driven, because you know a lot of people, when they're fresh to the corner, they say, okay, I will get a job and that's it. I have to get that money. So what exactly kept you driven to keep on going with all that?
So I think that like as an entrepreneur, the best skill set that you can have is actually like being disciplined, right? And create
Hmm.
routines for what you do.
Yeah,
And
being
that
your
is
boss.
something that, yeah, so that is something that like I struggled a lot, but I had to fight to actually get that discipline. And a lot of people like they tend to get to focus on motivation, and for me,
Yeah.
instead of focusing on motivation, I try to focus on being disciplined, right? On waking up at 5 a.m. and then like going to do a training, and then after the training, like and when I talking about training here, that like exercising. I actually do like training in terms of learning more about Facebook ads, learning more about business, and then like take the rest of the day just to give my clients results, right? So
Hmm.
for me, it was a matter of blocking the morning, like from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m., just to focus on the business, and then from there until like 9 p.m. to focus on the clients, right? And that allowed me to like just keep the focus on business.
Nice. So instead of focusing on the motivation that all people seeking, and actually it's deteriorating after a day or two, and even after a couple of hours, you decided to go with kind of a habit, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Because like for me, if you think about motivation, like, and that is funny because like I love watching like Gary Vee videos and Grant Cardone and so on, right?
Yeah,
And if you think
it's
about like,
always
yeah,
nice.
yeah, and if you think about it, like motivation, like you watch those videos and you get like hyped up, right?
Yeah,
But that only lasts like for so long.
yeah.
While if you are disciplined and you can actually like you can trigger your brain to like when you're feeling lazy, you say like, okay, I'm feeling lazy, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? You don't really need the motivation; just need to be disciplined to do the thing. Like there are days that you want to give up, but then you need to like be disciplined enough to say no, I'm going to keep doing things. So yeah.
What kept you going and not giving up, not saying, oh fuck that shit, I'm going to work at some place.
So like I always had like this idea of building like the ultimate um, marketing agency, right? And it's funny like because I have like idea to build like two businesses, and one was the marketing agency and the other one was to build like a game studio. The game studio is still on the way, but like I'm focusing on the marketing business right now, and my idea was literally to build like what if I could build the best marketing business like in the world, and then like where I should focus my energy to do that. Like what if I could build a business that like on snap of a fingers I could give like ROI to my clients, right? And that is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm trying to build. Um, it's like it's a big dream to have, but again, it's what keeps like me motivated and disciplined to actually try to achieve that goal.
Wow. Hard and strong and very disciplined man you are. That's
Thank
amazing,
you.
man. What was the habit that you developed that kept you going and gave you all the tools that keep that hunger, if you will?
Definitely waking up earlier. Like I would often like when you are like the owner of your own business, you often
Yeah.
tend to, for example, wake up at like 11 a.m. or like go to sleep like at 3 a.m. and they wake up like at 2 p.m. next day, right? And for me, like being able to again, like it's all a matter of being disciplined to actually know like what is the hour that I'm working and like
Yeah.
having my sleeping hours and then waking up earlier to be able to literally wake up earlier and have that first hours of the morning to work and simply focus on the business itself and not worry about the
Mhm.
clients. Then yeah, I believe that that was a habit that allowed me to keep like on the right track.
Nice. I love it. And what was your biggest struggle that you experienced, and how did you overcome
um So, like for me, the biggest struggle was like when I was creating like the company for 3 months, right? I had like two clients, and I had like that not 3 months, like for two hard months, like I hit like a plateau where like I was sending emails, I was trying to reach out to people, and like I couldn't get another client, right? And for me, that was the worst because I was like in my head, like I was like, okay, maybe the two clients that I had like were just luck and not really like me being skilled enough to actually get more clients, right? And
it? Yeah.
funny enough, one thing that people don't realize is that the work that you do today, like it pays off tomorrow. And
Definitely.
clients that, yeah, and like clients that I had emailed like a way back, like they start getting back to me and say like, I want to actually work with you. So the thing that for me like was the lowest point actually end up being like one of the biggest lessons that I could take from business. That is, a lot of people like they tend to give up like on, I'm going to stop like to try to do like outreach email. I'm going to stop doing like, for example, case studies, or I'm going to stop doing like audits and so on for my company, right? And try to reach clients. What they don't realize is sometimes like businesses, they tend to not like get back to you right away, but then because like the business owner is busy or is like dealing some with like, even if it's like personal problems, right? And then what will end up happening is that later on, they might get back to you and actually get you as a client, or they might actually get back to you and allow you like to talk with them further. So yeah, but to answer your question, like for me, it was literally like the inability like to get clients was for me was the most stressful part of starting the business in the beginning.
So you kept on being persistent, and by being persistent and go follow upping those people, that's what got the engagement.
Yeah, like for me, it's what people say. Usually people say like it's a numbers game, right? So like every single morning, like if you wake up, you go on Google and you do lead sourcing, and you collect like a list of 30 companies that you know that you can help them, right? And you email them, like even if you email one like one every single day, you're emailing like 30 companies, right? You are
Yeah,
giving like a higher chance of, instead of not doing nothing, right? And
definitely.
for me, like having a chance of doing something or not doing nothing, I like much rather do something than doing nothing, even if I don't see the immediate results. And
Yeah,
the other thing that actually is like it's really interesting on that is that most of the time, um, and again, like people try to actually like hack things, like doing like automated outreach campaigns. So
yeah,
using like spamming people, and often like when we are beginners, like we usually like buy like email lists, and we try like to create like a outreach campaign for like 300 people with the same email. And people are not stupid. They can tell that that is like an automated campaign, right? So
yeah.
my advice is like, if you are starting out and you don't know how to actually craft a campaign, like an outreach campaign for cold email, my advice is for you like to actually type the email for each business that you are going to actually connect, because that is by far the place that we got the most ROI, by sending emails like that we handcrafted for that business, and also reach out on LinkedIn as well.
hmm Like being very specific and really go one after one, and don't try
Yeah,
like to leap and try sort of hacks, if you will. That
yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah. It doesn't, like, because people can tell that you're just spamming them.
Yeah,
Now, you can like, you have ways to make it work. Like you can create a template that will work for everyone,
yeah,
and you can be like really selective to who you're going to email. And even like for the automatical response for those emails, you can do it. But again, if you type it yourself, if you do it yourself, then the person on the other side, like they will know that you're actually going to their business and actually taking a look at it. I went as far as actually like creating videos and create like an audit video talking specific to that company and sending that video to like to the person, to the CEO of that company.
wow. The- I really love those advices because a lot of people don't really understand that they need to do the hard work to put the grind on it. And there is
Yeah.
no shortcut. You've got to go there and be active and be engagement with people. Otherwise, it doesn't work because it's all about relationship.
True. Like one thing that I find like really interesting in today's like internet business realm is that people focus too much on the tips, right? On like, what is the tip that I can get from here? What is the trick that I can use? And
Yeah.
often are the simplest things that actually work, right? So sending a simple email and asking for the business, and on that email actually show them what they're doing wrong or how you could help them, like it's simple yet it's effective. While if you spend like let's say like $9 on the latest like cold email software and you send like for 300 people, you cannot even get like a reply back, right?
Yeah.
So like the goal is really like to focus on things that you know that they will work, and stop like worrying too much about like the tricks and tips and various softwares that you should use and so on.
Yeah, because the software is it's not a magic thing that can help you boom generate thousands. Actually, the
Exactly.
grind will help you with that and really
Yeah.
connect, like you said. So, what is the biggest struggle your audience experience
For my clients or for my clients' audiences?
for your clients?
So for them, it's really to try like to convert students on spot, because all of them they have one thing in common, that is a high ticket service, right? They are like online courses, like real courses. Some go like as far as charging like 50K for the course, right? Online.
Yeah.
And yeah, and converting like a student from a lead to customer, when you are presenting them an online offer for 50K, it's completely different than like selling a 997 course, right?
Hmm.
So for them, it's literally like trying to convert the student to, or the prospect to student, or the lead to student on the spot. Um, and the way that we solved that problem was actually, funny enough, engaging the community for each of those businesses. So we like engage the community a lot. Like we create like not only like giveaways and actually giving things for free, but actually like creating resources that that community can go in and actually learn something like that. It's powerful enough for to make like a career change, right? To make them actually trust the company. And then after that, it's like it's quite often like you have people that download like a small tutorial from our clients, and like 2 days later they end up like just going up for the full course. Or for example, even like webinars, like we create a lot of webinars, and those webinars are specifically created like not only to sell the course itself, but to actually educate the audience in a way that we make sure that no one can beat at doing that as well.
Because it's never about us. It's
Yeah,
about the other clients. It's about the people, what we provide, what value did we give.
exactly. Like that's the old thing on business, is supply and demand, right? So
Yeah,
you find what is the problem, you solve the problem, and you have like the results that is making more money.
supply and demand. Simple as that.
Exactly.
So, what advice you can give to our audience, to our listeners here, that can help them to jumpstart their business, to start something here?
So, like the biggest advice that I can give you is to not focus too much on small tricks and tips. Right? If you look at the biggest businesses out there, you often find that the smaller things that we often like don't look at it are the things that actually make the most impact. For example, Amazon, it's only Amazon because Jeff Bezos was really stubborn in the number one goal for the company was to serve their audience, was to create, like to have the best service and the best product ever, right? So
Yeah,
if you focus on building the best version of your product or your service that you can, then and really understand like what is the things that you can solve for your audience, then that is more important than any tool or any tip that you'll see online. So try really to understand like your niche and solve that problem.
then love it. Find the problem, find the niche, then you got the whole package.
Exactly.
Can you share with us some inspiring moment that you had with a client?
Yeah. So, like one of our oldest clients, right? We were going through a phase, and again, like that is, I believe that is normal for agencies to sometimes like we hit a plateau and we cannot get clients, right? And
Yeah,
I was building a sales funnel for my own agency. And it's funny because usually people like ask me, "You are outreaching me via email. Do do your stuff yourself? My answer usually is yes. Like we have a sales funnel for our company, and we get clients through there as well. And usually, like our sales funnel, it's we create a case study, and we actually educate the person on the other side, right? The business owner on the other side. So
Yeah.
the thing is, one thing is you are like listening from me, a business owner perspective, talking about what I'm offering you or teaching like what I actually am offering you. And the other thing is actually listening from a client, right? And that client of mine, like he was extremely cool because he created a video, and that video he was like doing like basically a referral and just talking about like his experience as overall, right? And it's funny because he pointed out things that for us is natural, but for him made a big difference, right? And I was like, okay, so that is actually inspiring, right? Those small things, like those small actions, is actually really inspiring. And one thing that stuck with me was he said, like, for the Blackbird, we are not just another client, right? They actually treat us like a family. Like, okay, so like that for us is just natural, right? But for the business owner perspective, and for us it's really inspiring, like to have that perspective on business owners, from the business owner's eye, right? And
Mhm.
the other, like another really inspiring thing that I was talking to a client of mine, and I was complaining on at the time that our company price was too low, and that for the new clients I would actually increase the price for the company. And he asked like, how much would you increase the price? And I told him, and because he was like in Australia, he made like the calculations on how much it would be in his currency. And he was like, that's high, but it's still worth it. And I'm like, okay. So that means a lot.
Yeah, because when it's too low, so for like a high value price, then they see maybe it's worth it. Maybe I should
Yeah.
invest in it.
Yeah. And that is
Yeah.
another thing that I see, people that are starting out a company, we often do it, and I did it as well. Is even though we know like our value, we tend to price ourselves too low, especially like because we are afraid of the market and how people will react and so on. So before you do like any single pricing, actually research what other companies are doing and
Yeah.
what are the prices that they have. And if you know that like your quality can be at that point, then you should take your price from there. I'm not saying like go like right off the bat, like price yourself like 10K a month, but
Yeah.
try to see like how, like try to see the value for your own company.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. A lot of people do that mistake when they just started out. They should price it without even do their research, like
Yeah,
you said, beforehand to understand what is the price in this niche, in this area.
yeah,
And what happens is that they don't get sales because they should a price that is too high, that people say, whoa, I won't invest in that. I can take another one that is very expert in that at a lower price.
exactly. And again, like that goes back to business basics, like have a business plan. So
Yeah,
yeah,
business plan is important as well.
it is.
Can you share with us someone that inspired you on a daily basis?
Mm, I would say like the owner of CG Master Academy. So he's my mentor, but like the thing about him is that he has an amazing business, but he's like a really low key like CEO, right?
Yeah,
People often like, it's funny because often on Facebook, students talk to him without even knowing that he's the owner of the company, right? And
yeah,
for me, like that was extremely interesting, especially because like first he's like extremely smart. He's like a really smart business owner, and second, and again, like maybe it was the perspective that I had on starting online businesses, that you need to do like blog posts, you need to do like YouTube, you need to do like this and that to grow like an audience and actually have a significant business. That is usually like what we learn from our online experience, right? And seeing like a CEO that had like $5 million business without even being in spotlight, simply because he was focusing on doing like what he needs to do for his business, that is actually grow the business.
Yeah.
For me, was like, okay, so that is interesting. That is interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And that was a lesson that for me was really important to learn as well. I have a YouTube channel, but I usually I do YouTube channel for free. I treat my YouTube channel like as if it was a diary for myself,
Mhm.
right? If down the road I want to remember a few
Yeah.
things, like I just can go back to my videos and actually watch it. So I do it for more for myself than for the audience itself, right? And
Yeah.
but yeah, like focusing on the business is like he inspired me on that, on actually focusing on the business.
Nice. Well, that's so true. When what you said about him, uh, people oftentimes takes their ego and say, "I'm a big shot," blah 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 blah, blah. And he is a
Yeah,
multimillionaire, and he's like, "Hey, I don't need that ego. I have my
exactly.
company. I know what I'm worth, and I just do what I must do."
Yeah.
That's really inspiring.
And I believe that like for especially like for young entrepreneurs, like I was 21, and I was like
Hmm.
doing all these online courses and so on,
Yeah.
and like every single message was the same, is like you need to have an online presence, right? You need to build this amazing personal brand. And often it's important to build a personal brand. I completely agree with that. Having a personal brand is extremely important.
Yeah.
um, but what I don't agree is focusing on the personal brand instead of focusing on the business. What usually happens is when you focus on the business, then the personal brand just comes along.
Of
Um,
course.
and like that's just the truth of it. Just you focus on your business, and people start talking about that, right? And then you can build a personal brand from there. What I
Yeah.
often see is people trying to build a personal brand to then build a business, while it should be the opposite.
Yeah. It's supposed to be together and
Yeah,
not just that or that. It goes
yeah,
together. And by the way, I love what you said before about a client that inspired you when he started to do videos and that. And a lot of people tend to be very afraid from videos, or because lack of confidence, they don't feel right about the camera. And that's actually a great way to grow to people because video converts around 80% more,
yeah.
80% more than just something written. And that's really amazing and astonishing that you've done that. And you found that very inspiring. I love that.
Yeah. Like he like the not only like him taking the time to actually do the video, but also like his words on the video. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Nice.
amazing. Like the feeling of getting, because like what happens is like often you work with those clients like for so long, right?
Yeah.
And you get used like they get used to your quality of work, right?
Hmm.
And they get used to you bringing results. So
Yeah.
you don't expect them to actually go in and say like you're doing an amazing work, because like you're doing your work, they're doing their work, right? And
Hmm.
when like a client actually stops, right, to think about like on his testimonial about your company, and like he gives you that sort of feedback, that is really inspiring.
It is. It's remarkable.
It is.
So, Carlos, we are getting to the end of the interview, and I want to ask you if you can go back in time, what advice will you give to your younger self?
um oh, that's a trick question. um I believe that would be to focus more on getting on being more disciplined soon. Um, like I believe that my company could be doing like 4 times or 5 times better if in the beginning I didn't waste a lot of time like playing games and so on. Um, it's true. Like I would
Yeah.
play, like I would have the business, but then because like in the beginning it was like me building the company just for myself, right? And I was just making money, and I was putting money in my pocket, and that's it. And that is things that most entrepreneurs do, is that in the beginning, like they start making money and put money in the pocket. And the thing is, like, one thing or not, in the beginning of a social media marketing agency, the work is really chill. And I would like often work and then either like travel or spend time like playing PlayStation 4 and so on, right? And
Yeah.
the advice that I would give myself would just be to actually like be disciplined and treat work as work. And then on a Sunday or a Saturday, if I wanted to take time to do that, I will do it, right? But then
Yeah.
on weekdays, focus on entirely on work and actually building the company.
Yeah, I love that because we get spread out when we just started out. We tend to play on the PlayStation, binge on
Yeah.
Netflix, doing all around and go with friends all day long. And in that time, we feel a lot shitty about ourselves because we are not productive as we want to be productive. Sometimes we
Yeah.
don't notice it. And instead of just throwing it aside, and of course, you have to give yourself time. Like you said, you do it on Sunday or Saturday when you have time. That's awesome. That's like when you earn that, but not on a daily basis. And when you find that discipline, you get it on track. When you get that
Um,
one habit that gets you there.
yeah, like coming from my background in design, I had one instructor that he like one day like he told me that if you want to get good at drawing,
Hmm.
you need to practice every single day, right?
Of course.
But is as important as you practice, is as important for you to actually have hobbies and for you to actually do other things. Because it's from those other things that you actually get inspired, right? And on
Yeah.
business is the same way. If you just focus on hustle, 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 you'll get burned out, right? You need to take like time out from the business and actually recharge. And that is a misconception that I see a lot of people doing, that is like, I'm not going to sleep because I need to work like 48 hours straight. And what they
Yeah.
don't realize is that they're actually hurting their business more than they are helping.
And that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had one chance to deliver the one message that will stay written in history, what will it be?
Mm, well, that's a hard question. Um, just follow your dreams. That is a cliche answer, but it's true.
Well, it's cliche, but it works.
It is like, and again, like a lot of, and there is like a truth behind that, because a lot of people think that if you follow your dreams, you will eventually
Yeah.
find out like whatever it is that you want to do, right? Um,
Hmm.
for me, it's different. For me, it's more about trying to do what you actually want to do and see if it's actually what you want to do. And
Yeah.
the reason that I say that is, for example, for me, I wanted to become a concept artist, and I had a career as a concept artist. But I find out that working for a game studio and like doing concept art for a game, for me, was not as fun as actually drawing just for myself, right?
Hmm.
And I quickly find out that I didn't want that as a career. While, for example, marketing, which is something that never like went through my head, became like my business and my passion, right? So when I say like follow your dreams, it's not about just like following your dreams blindly. It's to follow your dreams is actually see if that is what you want to do. And if along the
Yeah.
way you find out that it's not what you want to do, then change it.
Love it. Bam. That's so true because when we are not passionate about what we are doing, it will deteriorate like that. And the goal for money won't held for a long time.
Yeah.
And when you do
Yeah.
it because you really love it and not just for yourself, if you have a reason for your family, for the other people that you want to impact, that will give you another boost like boom. And then you follow your dream.
Yeah, and it's funny because like when and I understand like because I was in that position as well, and I gave you that answer earlier that in the beginning like
Yeah.
for me it was about the money, right? Because
Yeah.
we like turned on that survival mode. But once you reach a certain level of stability, you often find that money is just a tool for you to use to grow, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, money is not enough to actually drive you. So having like a dream, like having something that you actually want to work for is way more important than just money.
Damn right.
I
Love it.
believe that
Love it,
I
Carlos.
believe that like if you took away all like Elon Musk money, he'll be still working at Tesla, for example.
Love it. So, Carlos, how people can know more about you?
So they have like you have my YouTube channel. The link like if you it's funny because if you type like YouTube slash 360 days of randomness, you actually find the YouTube channel. Yeah, because like that I created that channel like way back when I was like 16, and I still use the same URL. So yeah,
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. And I will put the link in the description below. And I
thank
really
you.
appreciate that you took the time from your busy day and came here to the show. I really appreciate that.
No
So
problem.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for that.
Thank you.
Thank, thank you, Carlos. And people, if you like this interview and you want to know more about Carlos, go to his YouTube channel, to his Facebook page. I will put the links below. And have an amazing and productive day. And don't forget, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to get more tools to your arsenal. And have an amazing and productive day again. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you very much.